The first session is titled Young Women Leading the Way, Transformative Leadership in Africa. The moderator for this panel is Zuffante Pabon. Karen is the director of Slater International Center and International Student and Scholar Advisor at Wellesley College. As director of Slater International Center, she plays a key role in the comprehensive internationalization of the Wellesley campus. She works closely with federal and state government agencies to assure that college students and scholars are aware of and in compliance with state and federal regulations. In addition, Karen coordinates the Davis United World College Program and the Mastercard Foundation Scholar Program. She advises and provides support services and programs for approximately 300 international students and scholars. Throughout her experience, Karen has been devoted to increasing intercultural understanding and bridging cultural gaps. Please welcome Karen Zuffante Pabon.
Thank you, Joey. Good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to be presenting this session this morning, and I wanted to tell you a little bit about the relationship that Wellesley College has had with the Mastercard Foundation. Our relationship with the Mastercard Foundation began back in 2009 with the support and encouragement of Lois Juliber, class of 71, and then chair of the foundation, so another Wellesley alum. We were encouraged to submit a proposal to the foundation, and in 2013, we were approved as one of the first 10 partners in the Mastercard Foundation Scholars Program, and we were thrilled. At Wellesley, the Mastercard program will provide, once we finish with our second phase, about 23 African women with an academically rigorous curriculum, comprehensive scholarships, targeting mentoring and academic support services, and experiential learning opportunities. Through this program, our Wellesley community has also benefited in many ways. We have expanded our African student population, which is great. We have expanded our worldviews, both in and outside of the classroom. And we have developed a very strong team of faculty and staff from a variety of departments and programs that work together to support all of our scholars. I have been honored and fortunate enough to have been engaged in this program from the very beginning. And I've also been a member of the first Women's Transformative Leadership Subcommittee that produced the publication that each of you received in your tote bag. It's been an absolutely incredible experience, and I continue to be inspired by our scholars each and every day. Now I would like to take a moment to introduce Ann Miles, the Director of Thought Leadership and Innovation at the Mastercard Foundation. This is a new role for Ann. She took it on at the beginning of this year. She actually joined the foundation in 2011 as Director of Financial Inclusion. She also managed the Youth Livelihoods team from 2014 to 2016. She is a member of the foundation's strategy and investment team and represents the foundation on the board of Solutions for Youth Employment, a coalition of organizations committed to addressing the challenges of youth employment around the world. Ann has more than 35 years of experience in financial services. One of her most rewarding periods was when she worked at Women's World Banking, a global nonprofit organization which partners with financial institutions to develop products and services suitable for low-income women. This organization also promotes women's leadership and focuses on those institutions where women are leaders. Thought leadership and innovation will play a critical role in helping the foundation achieve its new strategy, which should be announced later this month. Anne is very excited about these initiatives and looks forward to engaging many of our partners as well as new stakeholders in the Foundation's future work. So please help me welcome Anne Miles.
Good morning. How is everyone today? Feeling pretty good about yesterday, or very good? It was an incredible day. So thank you, Karen, and thank you, Wellesley College, for hosting this amazing conference. It's very inspiring to be here, and I can't wait to go home with so many stories and new friendships that have been acquired in the last 24 hours, so thank you. For those of you who may be unfamiliar with us, the Mastercard Foundation is actually based in Toronto, Canada. This weather is very familiar to us. We were founded in 2006, and early on we made a decision to focus on reducing poverty in Africa. And since then, we've supported programs in 33 African countries to advance financial inclusion and education. To date, we have improved the lives of more than 25 million people and their families. The Foundation is motivated by a simple vision: the opportunity for all to learn and prosper. In recent years, we have increased our focus on girls and young women and the specific challenges they face. Challenges in accessing education, employment, financial services, and technology. These challenges often prevent them from reaching their full potential. So we work with organizations that offer single-sex programs, providing safe places and support for women and girls. Organizations that provide flexible hours and childcare for young members so that they can participate in skills training to help them find work. We also work with organizations that are helping young women pursue opportunities in non-traditional areas, such as construction and biogas, and some of the attendant opportunities around those industries. And of course, our Scholars Program, which many of you know well, has a special focus on women and girls. And to date, more than 35,000 young people have accessed education and leadership development through this program. And going forward, 65% of all scholars will be female. We have also commissioned some research exploring the gendered dimensions of our programming. In fact, there's a report, it's called the Gender Programming on our Youth Livelihoods portfolio, that I believe is in circulation or available here. We'd be happy to share it with you. It's very, very insightful. Through this work, we are gaining insight into the constraints placed on young women and the unequal opportunities available to young women and young men. We're also learning more about what we can do to empower girls and young women to thrive. So, for example, when teenage girls are provided with sexual and reproductive health information alongside vocational training opportunities, teenage pregnancy and early marriage rates drop significantly. This is a program that we funded. Some of you from Uganda may know it, with Brock Uganda and the ILA clubs. In our Scholars Program, young women are more likely than young men to report difficulty expressing their opinions in front of groups. Female scholars more often report struggling to make decisions because they are worried about making mistakes. I think that's true for many women, not just scholars. Confidence and self-esteem are clearly essential for leadership for young women. Ultimately, the Foundation is convinced that investing in young women is vital to the future of Africa. When a young woman furthers her education and develops her leadership skills, she will directly impact the future of her community. And we heard that over and over yesterday, and we have wonderful examples of how that's playing forward. So let me shift a little bit now to talk about what we see as the next challenge that we really want to be working on at the Foundation for the next decade or so. We're very optimistic, I think you know that, about the future of Africa. The continent is experiencing a profound transformation, and for one thing, we know it's getting younger. Today, there are more than 220 million people between the ages of 15 and 25 on the continent. And within a few decades, this demographic boom will push Africa's workforce to more than 1 billion people. It will be the largest in the world. This generation of young people is healthier and better educated than previous. They're living with greater peace and stability. And through technology, they have access, easier access to information and consumer goods and services. Many young people's lives are measurably better than generations before them. But we know challenges persist. Inequality and exclusion are growing. Conflict and corruption continues. Too many children and young people are not in school. Health systems are inadequate. We heard much about this again yesterday. And financial services remain out of reach for many poor people. And girls and young women continue to face deep and persistent discrimination and marginalization. According to UNDP's 2016 African Human Development Report, African women achieve only 87% of the human development outcomes of men. Sub-Saharan Africa is the most gender unequal region in the world. There is also a gap between the number of young people seeking work in Africa and the limited employment opportunities available. There are just not enough jobs. And if we don't act now, many young people, especially young women, will face challenges finding dignified and fulfilling work. This is top of mind for African youth. So what I want to show you now is a video that was done by our youth think tank. We have a think tank of young people that conduct research on behalf of the Foundation. So the lead person speaking in this video is a young woman researcher that's helping us explore more deeply some of the challenges around youth employment in Africa. So let's go to the video.
Africa's young people are its greatest resource, and it's because this is where the innovation lies, this is where the energy lies, and the only way the continent can move forward is by tapping into that resource. My name is Jocelyn Mukohemuga. I'm a youth researcher with the Mastercard Foundation's Youth Think Tank. The Youth Think Tank is a partnership between the Mastercard Foundation and Restless Development. My role was to research on the engagement of young people in the uptake of various agricultural innovations and technology. Youth-led research is crucial because, in essence, you are empowering the young person to take charge, to identify the problems that they're facing in society, and also to come up with the solutions that they think can help them in solving these issues. One of the most compelling people that I met was Dan Polo, who runs the Kibera Community Empowerment Organization to teach young people in the slums on how they can earn food and also a source of income through small-scale farming.
I train young mothers in social entrepreneurship and also the project of sack gardening and kitchen gardening. One of the biggest challenges that young people are facing in this area is that getting jobs is a big problem to them. This project, it has helped the people in Kibera, especially youths and young mothers, to provide food for their family. And through this, they are getting their income.
The challenges that face young farmers and young entrepreneurs in Africa is that there is lack of information about farming and how young people can actually engage in farming. The young people that I did research on are very committed to solving these issues.
I design, fabricate, and install vertical gardens for people so that they can have their own kitchen gardens. There are millions of young people who are graduates, but they're not employed because the current job opportunities cannot uptake all of them. And that's why we need to be very innovative, we need to be very open-minded, create more opportunities for young people.
In terms of agriculture, it's about coming up with innovations and technology that the end users at the smallest level will be able to take up and use these innovations. My hope for young people in Africa is that they're able to see themselves as the creators of employment opportunities. I hope that this research also encourages policymakers to think widely about redefining the solutions that they come up with for the society.
So I think there's some wonderful stories within that story about innovation and opportunities to innovate in agriculture and some of the traditional pathways that people are following, and also to put women at the center of this work. And I especially like the young man who was running this training organization because he was focused on young mothers and youth. So when demographics shift, as they are now in Africa, it is a historic moment that must be seized. It's an opportunity to make the most important investment we can, an investment in young people, particularly young women. As we look into the future, one thing is clear. We need to create pathways for young men and young women to find meaningful work. And that's exactly what we intend to do over the next decade or so. And we will be making an announcement about our new strategy in the coming weeks, so stay tuned. It'll be launched publicly in Rwanda on March 22nd, and then we'll have more news about it after that. But as I said, in this coming decade, we will commit our resources to taking on this challenge of youth employment. This will be our single focus for the next decade. We will work with governments, private sector, and other funders. Most importantly, we will work with young people, and we will work with you, many of you here in the audience. We believe that Africa's young people will put the continent on a path to equitable prosperity, and that with the right conditions, we could see a productive and skilled workforce of more than 1 billion people within a few decades. It's a huge, enormous challenge, and it requires innovative solutions. There is no silver bullet. No one individual, organization, or even sector can tackle this on their own. The urgency and the size of the opportunity demands that we do it now, and we do it together. So what does that mean in terms of leadership? So this comes to my next point around what we've been talking about over the last 24 hours, transformative leadership. We believe that the success of the continent's young people, particularly its young women, will determine Africa's future. You are energetic and innovative, and you want to lead. And we believe the challenge calls for transformative leadership. Seizing the opportunity and addressing the challenges in Africa requires a distinct kind of leadership. Leadership skills are critical assets needed to survive and thrive in the changing world of work. But leadership enabling just one individual's success is not enough. And we heard that again yesterday, reinforced. Dr. Kenya, how she is moving beyond the needs of herself, the needs of her immediate community, and thinking more broadly. Africa needs leaders who are ethical and committed to giving back, who are innovative and inspired, leaders who will create jobs and opportunities for themselves and others, and who will work together to solve complex challenges. Leaders who will drive the profound change needed so that socioeconomic systems are more sustainable, equitable, and inclusive. While leadership is a universal human experience, effective leaders are a reflection of the specific time, place, and culture in which they are living. I can't think of that even more profoundly in terms of where we are today, in terms of our environment, but I won't go there. Many theories of leadership are grounded in Western culture or derived from a corporate context. Leadership concepts in the civic realm tend to focus on the individual. As an organization committed to developing Africa's next generation of leaders, we needed something different, something that reflected those our programs serve: young people, women, and Africans. So through our Scholars Program, we have developed a model with our partners and with our scholars that we think fits the bill: transformative leadership. What do we mean by this? We mean that transformative leaders engage others in an ethical manner to generate positive and lasting change. The Foundation's Transformative Leadership development programming is designed to meet the needs of young people of Africa, especially young African women. So what do we see as some of the barriers for young women in leadership? And we talked again about some of those yesterday. Leadership can be a challenging aspiration, and barriers to women's leadership are systemic and widespread. They start at home, where girls are often expected to take on more responsibility. This leaves them less time to study, and that's only when they can access education at all. Barriers continue if they go to school. 47% of young women in Africa never attend school, or they leave before completing education. What a huge missed opportunity. Limited education means that girls have fewer opportunities to learn critical foundation skills. They have fewer opportunities for role models and mentorship from teachers, counselors, principals, and fewer opportunities to practice leadership in clubs, on teams, conducting community service projects. Young women also face economic, political, and social roadblocks. According to the World Economic Forum's Gender Gap Report, Sub-Saharan Africa has closed only 68% of the gender gap in economic empowerment and remains one of the most challenging regions in the world for women to rise to positions of leadership in government. I don't think any of this is new to any of you in this room. The barriers are real, but they are not insurmountable. If you give young women the right support, they'll transform their community, their continent, their world. We've seen it happen time and again. And the incredible women who addressed us yesterday and who will speak to us later today are living proof. So let's talk a little bit about the solutions. Whether in politics or health, law, or engineering, African women are showing the world how to unleash women's leadership potential. We heard from many of them yesterday. We heard about global health. We heard about the power of theater. We heard about the power of comedy. We heard about the power of education. All of these women that we heard from yesterday and that we will continue to hear from today are transformative leaders. They have a strong vision for change. As they themselves have testified, they did not emerge out of whole cloth. We've learned through our work that research on how to champion African women's leadership is quite thin. But early findings from the Scholars Program suggest that there are pathways which we must support so that African girls and young women can assume their rightful place among continent's leaders. While leadership is an individual journey, we have seen patterns emerge. First, women's leadership is most motivated by a personal experience, something that affected them deeply and inspired them to take action. Connected to this opportunity is the opportunity to give back. Giving back is both a driver and an outcome of women's leadership. Again, we heard that loud and clear yesterday. Also, as we heard from some of the women leaders, you need to challenge gender norms and rise above expectations is an important motivation for young women. Education may not be enough. You need deliberate, intentional investment in and support of young women's transformative leadership programs, which are essential to nurturing young women leaders. Third, early supporters of young women's talent plays a critical role. Without early recognition and support, a young woman might not build confidence and self-esteem. We also know that as women leaders progress, they benefit from access to a spotlight to help them raise their profile beyond their immediate community. Fourth, mentorship and role models are essential. Other women whose pathways can inspire and provide a roadmap and example of success. Seek them out. Find your mentors. Find your role models. Fifth, practice leadership and look for opportunities to practice leadership, whether it's in school, the workplace, the community. Young women need to employ their leadership skills in real-world situations. 6, use networks and communities. Young women need supportive places and spaces where they can practice leadership, build connections, and access new ideas. They need communities of accountability and support. And finally, 7th, reflection is important and often overlooked. Young leaders need time and support to look inward and outwards, to examine their own assumptions and to discover themselves. So, in conclusion, let me put forth a call to action. We are investing in Africa's next generation of leaders, the continent's future CEOs, innovators, scientists, engineers, entrepreneurs, small business owners, farmers, community leaders, advocates, and presidents. Our goal is to ensure that they are transformative leaders, ethical leaders who can draw attention to issues, who generate solutions, who mobilize others to act. who transform institutions and systems. So let me quickly get to the points. To the universities in the room, we challenge you to go back to your campuses and find out how many women faculty do we have? How is their experience specific? Is my campus safe for young women? Do we have a center like the wonderful Wellesley Center for Women? And if not, what would it take to create one? To create a place with the purpose of training young women leaders. To the practitioners in the room, we urge you to consider, are my programs designed with the different expectations and experiences of both young women and young men? Do we collect sex disaggregated data? Do our interventions tackle the root cause of inequality, gender inequality? And do they promote young women's engagement and empowerment? To any employers or entrepreneurs who are here in the room, do our hiring practices consider the different constraints young women face in entering the labor market? Do we offer upskilling programs that help young women build skills, whether it's in leadership or technology or finance? That these are skills that will help them be successful in the world of work. Is our workplace safe for women? To everyone here in the room, as individuals, we call on you to amplify what you are already doing. Be the finders and early supporters of other young women leaders. Be their mentors and role models. Give young women opportunities to practice leadership, employ them, give them internships, create roles for them in your give back projects and your clubs. Connect with one another, become a thriving community of accountability and support. In closing, the foundation is prioritizing young women. We will continue to deepen our understanding of how leadership understand and enacted for young men and young women in different how this works in different African contexts. We will continue to build and nurture a community of young leaders, and we will continue to listen deeply to women and young leaders and elevate your voice. Finally, to the young women in this room, those of you early in your leadership journeys, and how I envy you. But as we refer to you as future leaders, know that you are leaders already by the fact that you're here. Find your purpose. Define your vision. Stay true to your moral center. Keep going and be brave. Thank you.